Yo, it's Kieran for GOST, getting our shit together, coming at you with more dating content. Today we're talking about frame control. What is it? Why is it important to dating? So what is a frame? Basically you could say it's everything that's happening inside of an interaction that's non-verbal. It's not the words being communicated. So you could call it the subtext or the setting or the unspoken story. So the person whose reality is the strongest is the person who's going to have the frame control in the situation. So if I'm at the gym and I'm talking to my personal trainer and we're talking about fitness, he's going to be the one with the frame control because he's going to be the authority on the situation. But if we go for a beer at the end of the class and he's talking to me about, say, problems that he's having at home with his girlfriend, I'm likely going to be the authority in the situation. So now I'm going to have the control of the frame in the situation. And you can get even more granular than that because I actually know what I'm talking about in this dating arena. The advice I'm going to give him is going to come across more authentic and more genuine and hopefully with a minimum amount of my ego getting involved. But let's say I don't know what I'm talking about and I don't want the PT to see me as lesser than him. Let's say he's in really good shape. I'm slightly intimidated by him. The conversation can come across as a lot less genuine. When he opens up about his problem, I can be like, let me just stop you right there. I'm the dating guru. This is what you should do. That's obviously not going to come across in the most optimal way to help him out with his situation. And I'm not going to have a very strong frame in that situation. In trying to impress the guy, I've acted a little bit of an arse and I'm going to show myself as someone who shouldn't really be listened to. Instead, it'd be a lot better to say, well, you could try doing this, A, B, and C because of the reality of X, Y, and Z, and the interaction is going to come across a lot better. Let's say instead of talking to a personal trainer now, I'm at a bar and I see an attractive girl waiting to get a drink and I go over to her and I'm looking to speak to her. If I'm thinking to myself, oh, I really hope this girl likes me, that's the frame of the conversation. So I'm going to come across a lot more needy and that's going to show itself in my behaviors and the way I speak to her. In this instance, she has something that I want and I'm trying to extract value from her, which is bad, right? My ego's involved. I'm thinking, oh, it'd be really cool if I were to hook up with this girl. And also, she's got something that I want from her, right? Instead, imagine how my behaviors and my actions would be different if I thought to myself, she seems hot. I wonder if she's interesting, cool. Let me just go over and chat to her. In this instance, rather than trying to extract value from her, I'm going over and saying, well, let's see if she's a good investment of my time. Let's see if it's worth my time hanging out with her. This is sometimes called the being the buyer and not the seller frame. Just as an aside to explain this being the buyer and not the seller frame, let's say I'm out shopping for a watch, right? So I go into the shop, the salesman's there, I'm asking him about the different watches, I'm completely non-stressed, I'm completely relaxed, I've got the money in my pocket, there's no time constraint, I can buy if I want to, I'm going to ask about the different characteristics of certain watches, and it's a very low stress environment, right? That'd be very different to the frame of if I was the seller, right? So if I'm the seller, I've got targets to hit, I'm on commission, I really want to make sure that this person buys a watch from me. And obviously in this analogy, men are most often like the seller in this circumstance, right? So what we want to do is flip the script here a little bit and be the buyer and not the seller. So going back to the hot girl at the bar, I could be going over to her and just thinking, well, let me just see if I can elevate her mood just for the pure goodness of it, just to see if I can make her feel better. Maybe she has had a shitty night so far. Maybe I can cheer her up a little bit. Thinking like this has three different benefits. One, it's a genuinely nice thing to do. Two, I'm not going to be all stuck in my head thinking about the goal that I want to achieve. And three, it's going to make me stand out more than all these other guys who are just simply trying to extract value from her, chat her up, and not thinking about her wishes and what she wants. So why is it helpful in dating to think like this, right? Well, because oftentimes guys don't even know how to get into that flirty sexual sort of frame with a girl. So you can frame an interaction in a frisky or sexually provocative way through not only just your verbals, but also your tone, your body language, and your eye contact, right? So you just to take a stupid example, this is something where the verbals of what I'm saying aren't necessarily connected to sort of being flirty, but if I'm talking about my shirt, right, I could be like, I really like the shirt. Like, I really, really like the shirt. Like, what do you think? What do you think about my shirt, right? Like, okay, so it's a stupid example. So if I did that to a girl, obviously it come across a little bit weird, so I sort of laugh about it, but I've still introduced that sort of flirty frame, right? You can see how the tone of my language changed. I'm not just saying, yes, this is my shirt. What do you think? I'm saying, yeah, it's my shirt, right? It sounds a bit silly, right? But you sort of get the philosophy behind it. Another example of where framing, you can see it just in your regular life. So say if you go on a plane, the pilot, they always sort of sound the same, pilots. So they want to sound like they're in control. They want to sound pleasant and very smooth, right? So they'll be like, we're now flying at 27,000 feet. If you look out of your left, you'll see Greece going past the window. And our estimated time of arrival is 3 hours and 40 minutes. Thank you for flying today with such and such, right? It's very pleasant, it's very smooth. We're in a plane, that's a kind of stressful environment. We're traveling at hundreds of miles an hour through the air in a metal box. It can be scary for some people. So you want the guy who's heading, like at the head of the plane, flying it, to be in control and be smooth, right? Doctors as well, they normally sound the same. They've got the same similar sort of tone when they speak to you. They want to sound empathetic. They want to sound knowledgeable about what they're talking about. And they also want to dissuade you from being a hypochondriac, right? And also, obviously, there's many other interactions that you're going to have in your everyday life where framing is going to be important. You're going to be able to notice it. Say if you have an interaction with the police, if you're polite, if you hold their eye contact, they're going to unconsciously put you in a box, rather than if you were aggressive, they're much more likely to see you as a criminal or someone breaking the law, right? A personal example of this is, I think I've told you before, I really used to have this thing with bouncers where I'd have negative interactions with them a lot. I remember one time I'd got into some sort of fracas with these two bouncers, and they were literally sitting on top of me, these two big burly guys sitting on me waiting for the police to come, right? Really embarrassing. But when the police came there, I just instantly jumped up and said, oh, thank you, officer. I really don't know what happened here. Really good to see you. I think I was being polite. I don't know what I did wrong. I'm just looking to get on with my night. Then maybe they're having a rough night. And the police were literally just like, yeah, okay, on your way. So imagine, and that's how that played out, right? So imagine if I was like, right, they've been fucking holding me here and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's going to come across as much more aggressive, and the police are much more likely to detain me in that situation. So we can communicate a subtle difference to the people that we're attracted to by jumping out of sort of a regular, friendly or transactional frame with them and into a sort of frisky or flirty or sexually provocative frame with them, right? So let's say you're at a restaurant, the waitress comes over, she's quite attractive, you'd like to get to know her a little bit more. You could, obviously, the normal way of things would be just a friendly transactional frame with them. So you're looking at the menu, she comes over and you're like, oh yeah, oh hi, yeah, I think I'll go with the cheeseburger, thanks very much, right? Instead, you could be like, oh hi, yeah, I think I'll go with the cheeseburger. And I look her in the eye and hold her eye contact for like an extra beat, right? It's slightly longer than she's used to, right? Or perhaps you could even ask her name, right? Now we're moving out of just the standard frame with her and into something that's a little bit more flirty. And what you'd be looking for here is examples of her buying into the situation. So if you're being playful with her, she's playful back. Maybe she's staying at your table longer than she needs to. Maybe she asks your name. And you're looking for those signals. And if you don't see any of those, that might mean that she's not interested. And you can always just jump back to the regular transactional frame with her, and no one's hurt, and everything's fine. You can just go back to that. And there's no sexual harassment charge coming your way. If you are in that situation, maybe you get talking to the waitress, maybe it goes great, maybe she becomes your girlfriend, maybe then you have a wedding, you invite all the ghost staff to your wedding, we hit it up, we have a great time, maybe Elon Musk is at your wedding, maybe we get chatting to him, he takes us to Mars, we go there, we start a new colony for humanity, life's a good one, we save the species, let's go! Things might go really badly with that waitress. She calls the police on you, you go to prison for sexual harassment, you get raped in prison, you get killed, you go to hell, the devil takes a piss out of you for being a pussy. Alright? That's not what we want to happen, and that's not what's going to happen. It's fine, isn't it? You can get into a flirty frame with someone that you think is attractive, just don't harass them, look out for the signs that they're flirting back with you, then you know it's a goer. Keep going from there, and it'll be all fine. And if you get a harassment charge, blame it on Ghost. Way! Don't really. Peace.